Welcome to One on One, coming to you from Baraton TV at the University of Eastern Africa, Baraton. We have our guest, Pastor Geoffrey Mbwana, Vice President of the SDA Church at the General Conference, running the whole world. And we were listening to his very interesting story, and we have learned a lot in part 1. Now we are getting to part 2. He has lost money that he had saved to go to school, but he did not stop there. He went ahead and canvassed, selling books, religious literature in Dar es Salaam. And he tells us he got the you got the money.
I got the money. I got the money.
Yes.
It was not all of it. My dad assisted.
Okay.
And when you live in community, thank God, there are people, when they see their vision, they want to contribute something to your vision. Mm-hmm. So mind how you live with others. Mm-hmm. They may support you through life. Uh-huh. You should not be an island. So I thank God for those people. Mm-hmm. But again, for God's provision for me to participate in canvassing.
Yes.
So that I could enhance my dreams.
And so you left for India?
I left for India, Ethiopian Airlines. That
yes.
was fun to be on the plane for the first time.
Yes.
You have to learn a few things. But we went through Djibouti. We landed very hot. I think it was my first time to see a desert land through the windows of the plane. But thereafter we continued with the journey to Bombay.
Okay.
Yeah, what they call today what? Mumbai.
Mumbai.
Yes.
Yes.
Big city, landed very hot. I did not make it through health officer screening.
Okay.
I had my vaccines, but my yellow fever vaccine had not matured.
Okay, because it matures in 10 days.
In 10 days.
Yes.
Therefore, I was quarantined.
Wow.
For 6 days. No, I think it was 4 days.
So you had done 6 days, you needed 4 days?
I needed 4 days.
Yes.
I was rushing because the school had already started.
Okay.
And I had only about 1 week of grace. If I don't register, I will have to stay out of the class
until the next
semester.
Okay.
And that troubled me. So while quarantined at the airport, I prayed. They kept us very well. Fed us very well.
Yes.
But I was worried, am I going to miss?
Because your target was to be in school.
I was thirsty,
yes,
literally. And fortunately, I sent a word to the university, and they said we will still take you in.
Yes.
So after the days, took a plane again.
Yes.
30 minutes. I was in Pune.
Okay.
And onto the university.
Which university is this?
This is Spicer Memorial.
Spicer Memorial
College University.
So you flew in Pune and went to school.
I went to school and jumped in right away.
How many years did it take you?
Oh man, long time.
Yes.
Did my 4 years of undergraduate.
Yes.
I took 2 more years for a master's degree, another 2 years for another master's degree.
Wow. So you did bachelor's degree
4 years.
In what?
In theology and psychology. I majored in 2.
You didn't forget the psychology from Tabora.
I was determined. I was determined, and I really buried myself into psychology.
Into psychology?
Yes, I did.
Then what did you do for masters?
For my masters, I did educational psychology.
Again, the psychology.
Yes, with Pune University.
Yes.
And then thereafter, I pursued another master's in education.
Okay.
With Andrews University.
And so your roots in education are still there.
Are still there.
You are an educationist and a pastor.
Exactly, exactly.
After that?
While I did my master's at the University of Pune in educational psychology, I took a lot of courses in theology at Spicer Memorial College, Andrews University.
So they were close by?
They were close by. I stayed at Pune even as I went to, at Spicer even as I went to Pune University.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you remember your experiences in India?
Exciting.
Yes.
It was a campus where students came from different nationalities. We had a lot from Kenya.
Yes.
A lot from Kenya who came there through the Harambes.
Yes.
Something you have very good in Kenya, by the way.
Fundraising.
Very good fundraising.
Everyone brings a little money.
I have lots of friends and colleagues from Kenya whom we were together. We rubbed shoulders together, and we meet now in the workplace. And I thank God for the experience. But that was a very pleasurable experience.
Yes.
Multicultural on campus, a mixed staff lecturer team. So we were exposed to the world.
To the entire
even
world.
though we were in India.
You are in India.
We were exposed to the different flavors of thinking, different flavors of eating. That was a challenge. Indian food.
Yes.
Spicy.
Too much spices.
I remember at one time we just couldn't take it. So as Africans, we went to the president and said, I mean, we're gonna die.
Too much spices.
And so the president said, what do I do for you? The ladies in the kitchen have said they cannot cook unspiced food because you will despise them. So he said, if you can't, go and cook for yourselves. So we organized and went and cooked, and we said, but how long? We are here to study.
Yes.
So soon we began
Adjusting.
And after that we liked it. To this day, I get some time to go an Indian restaurant and eat.
To remind yourself of those days.
Exactly. So the larger thing in life is this. You get to learn how to live with other cultures.
Yes.
How to listen. How to understand the patterns of thinking. And therefore, again, apart from the classroom, the environment itself renders with your own growth.
And you know something, Pastor, as a world church, Adventist church is all over the world.
Yes.
But sometimes sitting in my village, I expect the whole world to look like my village. I think it is important to understand that we belong to the whole world.
It's important and it's necessary to have that exposure.
We are not uniform.
Now that I'm at the general conference where we do the world, I would have struggled tremendously if I didn't have this experience before. Little did I know that God was preparing me for what I didn't know
that is
would come in the future. So when God exposes you to some situations, some may not be according to your taste. You may want to complain, but because you don't know the future, hang on in there. You will come to realize that actually when you're in God's hands, He will prepare you for situations that you would ordinarily, left alone, never prepare for.
And so what did you learn when you meet a culture that is different from yours? What is the rule? Because these will keep happening as we become a global village.
Don't remain a stranger. You will not live your full life. Acclimatize.
Be part of it.
Culturalize.
Yes.
Be part of.
Yes.
There are certain good elements that when you participate in them and understand. Let me give you one example.
Yes.
When I went to India, Indian music was nothing of my taste.
Completely different.
Completely. I mean, let me be honest, it was dull.
And we are talking about Christian music here.
Christian music. And I don't know how, I didn't understand then how they could call that music. It's only after I took a course on art, appreciation of art. And that's when I began then learning how to appreciate the Oriental music.
Instead of trying to force Indians to sing Tanzanian music.
No, and I couldn't.
And you could,
this India Tanzanian boy, who is you to come and tell us how to sing?
To lecture Indians.
Exactly.
And so it gets to a point you must accept that this is how we sing in Tanzania.
And essentially you want to know, why are they singing the way they are singing?
And you need to agree that they will not sing like you.
Exactly.
But they are also praising God.
In their way. They enjoy their music.
Yes.
Sometimes when they listen to their music, our music, they didn't quite understand. Why do you sing the way you do? So it's a cultural shock.
Yes.
Briefly, I would say this. When I matured, Oriental music is very spiritual, very deep, and you have to learn how to listen to Oriental music. But the moment you do it, you're hooked
into it.
Into it.
Wow.
There is depth, there is meaning, there is beauty. You have to learn that beauty. But once you know that beauty, you celebrate it.
You are in it.
So, yeah, when you live in those cultures, now I would have not appreciated Oriental music had I not been exposed to that.
And Oriental food.
Exactly, Oriental food for that.
And even dressing. I'm sure they are dressing.
Yes, I bought myself Indian dress.
Up
to this day, I visited India recently. My friends were happy to see me after many years.
Yeah.
They've bought me a full Indian regalia.
Yeah.
I love dressing it. I love dressing it.
And you can imagine there is somebody somewhere who thinks that one type of dressing is the only dressing that is expected around the world.
No. The Indian dress is very respectable.
Do they have neckties in India?
No. The good thing is this.
Yeah.
They have their traditional dress which is related to their climate. You don't dress because you want to look like somebody else. You
are
dress
adapting
because
to the environment.
it is appropriate to the environment and the climate.
Yes.
So theirs is a healthy dress.
Wow.
Yes. And it's predominantly white because it's a sunny country.
Wow.
The white would reflect the sunlight, would help keep you cool.
Yes.
Very light.
Yes.
Very light dress.
So
I
the
learned,
sweating and what have you is taken care of.
No, they have very light dress.
Yes.
And I wore those dresses.
Wow. So after that, Pastor, you left back for Tanzania.
I left back for Tanzania. When I went back to Tanzania, I was asked to go into a school. Actually, I stayed for about 3 months without a job. I had applied a job. I got no response from Tanzania. But after 3 months, the president of the union came to Morogoro, where my young brothers were, and I went to stay with them.
Yeah.
And I had made a commitment at that time that I was going to serve God.
Amen.
At that time, in my mind, serving God was to work with the church.
Yes.
So the 3 months were kind of difficult for me.
Okay.
I have trained. I am prepared. I am willing to work for God, but there is no
response.
And
you know, this is common. I know there are people listening and watching us who are also waiting. There's something about waiting that maybe you
just
need to
wait.
sit. Yes.
Just wait. It's good to wait upon the Lord.
Amen.
When the president came, he said, "You wrote to us?" I don't know. I never saw
the letter.
The letter. He was an American.
Yes.
So I said, yeah, I wrote, I sent my transcripts. And so, do you have copies of your transcripts? I said, yes. So I rushed home, brought them. When he looked at them, it was just a shock. How come we are looking for men like you?
And the papers never reached?
They never reached.
And you don't know what happened?
Well, they reached probably somewhere.
They reached
I know
somewhere.
what happened. But then he said, I'm going. It was year-end time meetings.
Yes.
So he went back. He lay my name on the table. And I remember one leader, conference president, who did not know me. But when he heard my experience, the story, he said, I'm taking the boy.
Wow.
When I went, it sent me to a school which was just beginning.
Okay.
I found a lot of resistance from my friends. They said, with your masters, you don't go to that school. No, that's not your place. I said, I vowed I would serve God and his church. I am going. So I just left and went. And while there, we built school.
Okay.
Taught in the class.
Which school was this?
This was Suji Secondary School.
Okay.
I learned a lot of lessons. I wondered too why God sent me there, you know, the human side of me.
Yes.
But because it was a school that was just being built, I learned how to lead young people. The best way of leading young people is to model the way. So I did not tell them to carry sand.
You carried the sand.
I carried sand. I carried stones.
And so,
I discovered if I asked them to carry with a stick behind me,
yes,
it was so hard for them.
Yes.
But when I carried with them, we sang together up the mountains.
As you carried the son to build the school.
It was a big lesson for me in my leadership.
There is a lesson there I don't want our viewer to miss, that the best way to lead young people is to model. Because it is easy to tell people what to do.
Yes, easy.
I mean, that's easy. Do this, do that, do that.
Yeah.
But when you do it with them, you model that you are also interested in the work.
Hence the famous saying, don't tell me, show me.
Aha. Don't tell me, show me.
Yes.
So how long did you stay in Suji?
2 years.
2 years.
In fact, before 2 years, the Secretary of the Union for Education came over to the school and said, you will not stay long here. We want you at the university.
Okay.
To teach at the university.
Yes.
And I said, well, I will not do that. It was the first year. I had just started working. The gentleman who chose to pick me without knowing me deserves my service. And we had the first graduating class that year.
Yes.
So I said, I cannot leave in between. I will carry them to the end. After that, I will come.
Yes.
So we did that. I think it was sometime in September. They wanted me immediately because the university was starting. But I stayed on to the end. Okay. Unfortunately, when I stayed to the end, something happened to the principal of a high school of the church on the other side of the mountain.
Yes.
It's an older senior school.
Yes.
And the union decided to send me as a principal of a school.
So you went to the other side.
Didn't go to the university.
Yes.
Went over. It was a school by then, a completely run down school.
Which school is that?
Parane Secondary School.
Yes.
So when I got there, my first question was, God, why did you bring me here?
In this school?
In this school. Discipline was low, buildings ran down, teachers have no salary, toilets are full, we have no money. It's like I felt like God has thrown me into a dungeon.
Yes.
But you know what, young as I was still focused on the calling that the Lord has gave me.
Yes.
And seeing the challenge, the first thing I did was to call the board. And the chairman of the board was the same president who worked out for my employment.
Yes.
So he comes and chairs of the board. I have assessed the situation at the school, and all I said, I need money.
Yes.
We can't run. The toilets are full. Students are about to come. I have no money to build toilets. I can't even drain them.
Yes.
So please give us money. The answer I got was simply, there is no money.
Wow.
When I instead, my chair said, if you can't close the school. It hit me bad. You mean you called me here to close the school?
You are almost asking them, you didn't need me to close the school.
No, but I couldn't take it because I was Tanzanian.
Yeah.
And I say, what will I tell these parents?
When you close the school?
I close the school? Do I need to have that on my resume? I thank those teachers. They said, we are going with you.
Yes.
Let's rise up. Let's do it.
Yes.
A lot of stories there.
Yes.
A lot of stories, but I will not take up because of time.
But
it was a good leadership experience.
How long did you stay there?
I stayed there for 2.5 years.
But maybe just for an administrator somewhere who needs to know, how do we revive a dying or dead school? Just 1 or 2, 3 principles that we can live for such an administrator.
One big one that I learned during that time.
Yes.
Use the resources at hand.
What you have.
What you have. They had good land.
Yes.
Which was not being cultivated.
Yes.
Good land. Very productive.
Yes.
So I told my staff, if we actually produce food for the students, the money we are getting will be enough for salary.
Aha.
let's work. Let's go to work.
And you went into work.
And I believe in Adventist education that we should teach our children how to work.
It is still important.
It's necessary.
Even in this time and age.
It's not for food's sake.
Yes.
It's education for life.
And so if there is an Adventist school out there which does not have this program, I think it is important to rethink.
Necessary.
Yes.
In fact, it's part of our blueprint.
Yes.
We should not deviate from it.
We must have it.
So we folded our arms.
And
they saw me at work. They had a tractor which students had destroyed.
Yes.
Overturn it.
Yes.
A Massey Ferguson.
Yes.
And I thought a Massey Ferguson was a jewel.
Yes.
When you're in school, try to maximize what you can learn while at school.
Yes.
When I was in secondary school at Kwizu, one of our teachers was an auto mechanic.
Yes.
Fully fledged. So he was there teaching physics. In the afternoon, he took some classes to teach us the engine.
Yeah, the mechanics.
So the mechanics, the diesel engine, the fuel engine, and I took a lot of interest. He taught us electricity, so I know the engine.
You know
I know the engine. I can work on my car, but not to that detail, but to do my own maintenance.
You can do
my
basics.
Car. Oh yes. I don't have to go somewhere.
And so these applied to this Massey Ferguson.
Massey Ferguson, I saw it.
Yes.
The chest was broken. The engine was not starting, but I knew that a diesel engine was the simplest.
Yes.
So I began working on it. Put on my overalls, put my hands on grease, and I worked. I remember one time a parent came to bring a student, wanted to meet the principal. He was told he was down there. And really I was at the Massey Ferguson. And the man in charge of the gardening at the school was there, a bit more built. And when the parent came, he went directly to the gardener.
He looked like the principal.
Because I was greased all over. But by doing that, I think others saw that we need to have our hands on. That year, God blessed us with a lot of corn harvest.
Amen.
Blessed us with a lot of beans in 3 months' time.
And you are ready?
We went that year very easy with the budget.
Wow. And there was no need to close the school.
There are other experiences. We never closed. That school has never closed.
So after that,
they called me to be a conference secretary.
Conference secretary.
Yes.
I think we will pick from there, dear viewer, conference secretary. What happened from there and how he got all the way to the general conference. That's where we are going to pick from. We are very grateful that you are watching. Please join us in the 3rd episode of our one-on-one with Pastor Geoffrey Mbwana. Thank you so much. This is Baraton TV, here and hereafter.